Recording in progress.
All right, I think that we should be good now. I was not hearing myself at all. Now I'm pretty sure that you guys could be hearing me. And let me turn down the music. That is my mistake. Yeah, thank you, Carlo. Let me see. Make sure. All right, I think that we should. Yeah, there we go. Now we're all good. So yeah, again, like I was saying, thank you for checking out another one of my weekly analysis. I do appreciate y'all for being here. Let's go ahead and check out these fundamental analysis. You know, I usually always say that I am not a fundamental analysis trader by any means necessary, but I do like to check out and see what times and days the trades or the analysis, I mean not the analysis, the news event can occur, because I don't want to be trying to get into a trade right as soon as there's going to be news, or I want to be aware of any high potential news or anything like that. So after you can't see.
It just shows your name.
Oh, really? Thank you. That is, I wonder why I did that. Thank you. Appreciate it. Alright, so yeah. So Sunday, although it's already passed, it's an all-day thing. It's a France, they're having their presidential elections. And then Monday, we're going to have the BOC, Governor Macklem is going to be speaking, and that's for the Canadian news. Tuesday is going to be 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And let me actually double check. And this is something that you guys would always want to make sure. You want to double check and click on the time to make sure that it is linked up with your time. So it is. Is this something? Sometimes Forex Factory does mess that up. So that's just something that I do every now and then want to give a reminder for. So yeah, Tuesday 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. We have the Australian dollar news, which is the CPI and the trend mean CPI. So the CPI is something that you might want to pay some type of attention to on the Australian dollar. That's going to be around 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Wednesday is JPY news, where you have the outlook report, and that's tentative, meaning that it can happen anytime throughout the day, but it's going to be released on Wednesday, April 27th. And you know, usually JPY news is like towards the ending of the day, so you might want to watch that towards like the Asian / Tokyo session, you know, because that's when this is most likely going to be released. 7:30 a.m. I said I have to keep conscious note of that. That's how I've been good at doing that. But 7:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, U.S. dollar news, and then that's going to be advanced GDP. Quarter to quarter. So that's going to be actually something, since it's quarter to quarter, that's going to be something that you might want to pay attention to. And then it's core price index as well, month to month. So definitely want to be watching on Thursday and Friday for that. For this news, I don't think it's going to bring too much volatility into the market, but the way how the U.S. dollar is looking, who knows, man. So let's go on over to the U.S. dollar futures, and I will be looking at the DXY. And it's going to be interesting because I had mentioned this on the analysis earlier in the week, right? So U.S. dollar index futures, right? According to the U.S. dollar index futures, price has risen above that 78.6 Fibonacci zone that I had from the high of 103.925 that happened back in March of, was it, yeah, like March 30th basically, or March 23rd, like towards the ending of March in 2020, all the way to now. We're in April 2022, and prices currently slightly above the retracement from the low of 89.100, and this was back down in January 4th, 2021. Like that's the week of January 4th. Oh, you need me to turn up the volume? Okay, give me a second. Let me go ahead and do that. I didn't think that I was that low. I did, like, hold on, let me see. January 4th, 2021. That's the week of January 4th. Okay, yeah, okay. I can see why you would say that. Let me put my volume up. So, yeah, definitely something that I am looking towards with the US dollar is, hey, is this really going to push to the downside? Right now on the weekly time frame, when I'm going closer and looking at the price action, that's not necessarily what I'm seeing, you know. Let me see something real quick. Damn. Damn, I'm not. Okay, well, I'm gonna have to figure that out later. My audio is apparently a little fuzzy. I'm gonna have to. Let me see. That's so weird. Hold on. I mean, my mic's right here. I was trying to use my headset because it was giving clearer audio, but if it's giving a fuzzy sound in the background, I don't necessarily like that. Let me, hold on. Give me a second, guys, because I want to get that handled. I mean, you can also hear a fuzz in the background. Yeah, that's definitely annoying. Hold on, so let me see if this helps out. Does that help out, Peyton? I'm sorry, my boy Peyton, he's helping me out with the audio because I don't want there to be a whole bunch of sound in the background and you guys can't hear me correctly. Is that better? And of course, there's a delay on YouTube's end, right? Hey, Governor, can you hear like any type of feedback from? Yeah, that's interesting. Anyways, I'm just gonna keep going. So, anyways, yeah, let me just go ahead and continue with this. But I at this point in time, especially with how I'm seeing the weekly time frame right now, it's making me really not want to. Okay. Yeah. I don't necessarily think that trying to short the US dollar is a smart idea, especially with the weekly time frame. And I don't know why I'm trying to zoom in, it's not letting me zoom in. But the weekly time frame, the way how this candlestick is looking to me, it looks like this is just going to continue going to the upside. When I go on over to the daily time frame, same thing. When I'm seeing that, price try to make a bearish engulfing candle, but then it left this long wick. Once I saw this long wick happen on Thursday, I was like, oh no, this is just going to keep going to the upside, isn't it? And I had mentioned something very similar to this, I believe it was on Wednesday, to those on DeFi Domination and with Next Wave, right? I had said that, hey, this is something that I am going to be greatly anticipating on the US dollar. I don't want to necessarily buy the market, but this looks like a very huge possibility, and price definitely rejected off of this zone right here to go bullish. And I'm just like, at this point, I can't see the market doing anything more than either A, I'm just gonna take this fib and draw it over here. Do the same thing basically, and push to the downside before it goes to the upside, or price just continues going bullish, right? And so now, if it does continue going bullish, how high do I believe that it's going to go? Let me see. Let me just make sure. Okay, go. Yeah, sorry for no music, but y'all can hear my beautiful voice. On the weekly time frame, what I'm really paying attention to. Sorry, that was just something that I had written down. Where's the next level that I could potentially see the US dollar going up to? I mean, like right now, currently it is rejecting off of, well, it did break out. Let me go to the, that's not where I'm trying to go to. I'm trying to go more to the left. It did break above this zone right here. And so now, like, the next level that it's currently holding at, or it is currently going to come up to, is anywhere between this 101.762 area to 102.290 area. Sorry, let me zoom in a little closer so you guys can see that. This will be the very next level that price will be coming up to if it does continue to go bullish. Now, that could take a couple of days, could take a couple of weeks, you know, so just gonna have to be watching in between the zone what the US dollar is going to do if it does continue going bullish. And personally, I feel like it is gonna just, like I said, keep going. Either A is gonna keep going, or B is gonna come down and make a retracement back down to 100.264 before continuing to the upside. And that's off of the DXY, right? It's not off of the US dollar futures. It's off of the DXY. And again, just like I had mentioned 2 weeks ago, there is a 10-minute delay on the US dollar futures, and also on the other futures that are related to currency. But the difference would be that you get to see the volume, and you get to see the amount of volume in the pair. So again, DXY, just going back to it real quick, I am definitely keeping an eye on whether if it's going to keep going bullish, and if it is, it's going to come up to, which it's funny that if it does make a retracement and bounces up, that'll be perfect, like picture perfect. But I'll be watching for this play, because if it does retrace down here pretty nicely and then pushes to the upside, I'm more than likely going to end up having to buy the US dollar, even though I don't want to, because I definitely don't like buying at highs. But if the market is making higher highs and higher lows, then it's like, okay, am I going to like actually go and actually try to defy that? So we'll see what this market brings us. But the only way that I'm going to be able to like short this market is if price really does break below this low. And even over here to the left, honestly, like I would want to see this whole structure break in general, not just over here. I want to see this whole structure get broken before I try to end up buying. I mean, before I end up trying to sell. So something like this would have to happen for me to look for a sell opportunity. Break through that zone, retracement. Well, hold on. Let me do that even better. For a sell opportunity, I would have to see price break through this zone, make a retracement, and it's going to make a deep retracement back in to act as if it's probably going to go bullish. And then I'll take that sell opportunity. That's probably the only way that I'm gonna look for a sell opportunity on the dollar at this point. You know, I'm not gonna just try to sell it at this point. Like, I'm gonna have to just look for buys. And as much as I don't like trying to buy at tops, again, if you just look to the left, buying opportunity right there, bright as day. So it's like Same thing could literally just happen right here. Just gotta be patient and see what happens. But I'm not gonna try to sell price at the current area or try to buy it. I would just let it play out overall on a weekly. I mean, looking at it on the weekly basis. Going on over to arbitrage. Just going over to the weekly. What's the weekly looking like? All right. So the weekly, extremely bullish. Extremely bullish. Like everything is pointing to the upside. The price is above the second deviation. That's very light right here. The third deviation price, it's still pointing to the upside. Not necessarily a great sign to say that, hey, price is going to turn around. But, I mean, price can only extend on the weekly time frame so high before it starts to make a retracement, right? Daily time frame, price is still in this RSI. The RSI line is still inside the upper danger zone. So that is good. That's just something that's saying that, hey, a potential sell could happen, but you don't want to try to do anything quite yet, because this black line, this RSI line, it never gets out of this shaded gray area. It never can go above it on this end, and down here it can never go below it. So that's just something you want to watch out for with the DXY. 4-hour time frame. 4-hour time frame, you know, price had called for a sell right here, and I would have definitely loved to have called this sell right here, because price did break and retest the RSI line. However, I didn't get a sell call, and there was no indication saying that price was gonna drop, so I was like, okay, I'm not gonna sell it. And then price called for the sell right here. I wouldn't have sold it right there. Just especially if it hit the lower danger zone like that. Like, this is usually like my TP2, or I take most of your partials area if I would have sold up here. So yeah, the DXY is not looking too great. You know, the 1-hour time frame, yeah, it could be setting up for a buy, but it'll just be a retracement if anything. So not really looking for any type of trades at the moment on the US dollar. Maybe, again, like the red is what I would do if, like, this is what I would want to see for me to sell. But what I really see at this point price doing is just either a retracing back down to 100.226 and then going bullish, or just continuing the bullish move to the upside. So let's go on over to Euro USD. So man, the EU is looking very, very, very scary to me, in my personal opinion. And the reason why I'm saying it looks scary is because it's been so bearish right here. It looks like it kind of looks like how bearish it was. Where was it at? Where is it at? Well, this is the monthly. Hold on, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go on the monthly like that. I'm saying, like, this looks kind of scary to me, as in price is just gonna keep going lower. It looks like something like from like what happened over here, but just with less candles. And like this weekly candlestick, the way how it closed, I mean, it's not a bearish candle necessarily, but it left a huge wick to the upside back over here a couple weeks ago, back in March, like in the week of March 28th. And then after that, prices just continue to push to the downside. So just as much as, or just like how the DXY looks like it's going to continue going bullish, to me, Euro USD looks like it's going to go bearish. It's going to continue going bearish, right? Going over to the daily time frame, yeah, when I see a long wick like this to the upside, this is just telling me price is just going to continue falling, you know. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that price cannot go back up to follow that wick, but it's just, I mean, if there was more volume, then maybe I'll start to question it more, but I don't know. It's just evening star pattern type status right here, where, you know, you got a big bullish candle. I mean, it's not a very great evening star, but you have a bearish candle right here, and then a bearish engulfing candle that's engulfing this big bearish candle. And the way how the daily candle looks like, and the weekly, it's not a great look for the Euro USD. You know, I was saying, hey, at this point, the only thing that I could really see is, you know, from this low at 1.07618 to this high. Hold on, give me a second. To this high of 1.09364, like, price is inside that fib zone, although it had dropped a little lower. I mean, not a little lower. I mean, it's a lot lower. A lot lower down over here to 1.07818, which, and the reason why I had that alert there, if I'm not mistaken, was because of a potential fib setup that I saw down over here. I just want to make sure if I'm not remembering incorrectly. Yeah, something like that. But I didn't play that. Out. But anyway, so you know, EU is still at a potential area where it can go bullish, and I don't. With the way how with the way how the US dollar is, I wouldn't necessarily want to try to sell this, and the way how price even fell, I'm not necessarily trying to sell it. Like, it's not for me, man. Like, all I really see at this point, I mean, all I really see at this point is, I mean, it's not the greatest looking one, but head and shoulder, I guess. Like, it kind of looks like that's really what it was, but I mean, it's just not really. But I don't want I don't want to buy this. Like, just point blank period. It looks better to me as a bearish move than a bullish move. The way how this came down, it was pretty fast, and then price just continued to fall after. If anything, I'm kind of seeing this type of move on the 4-hour, quite honestly. If it does decide to push to the upside, I'm seeing this type of play. You know, and then if price just ends up pushing to the downside, then yeah, like, just so be it, just push to the downside. And it's kind of the same thing with the US dollar. Like, okay, well then if it does continue to push to the downside, where's the next level that it's going to go on the weekly? Right now, price is just holding at this current level, at these current levels right here, right? It's just currently rejecting off of these on a weekly time frame between 1.07862 and 1.07343. If price breaks down lower, it's going to get that, right? But the next weekly level that I would really be paying attention to, if price does break below this current support that it's holding at, is going to be around 1.0700 or 1.06953, as you see here. I'll just put 1.0700. 07. That's going to be like the next area where I'm going to be looking at, which is, if we get that retracement, that lines up pretty nicely with where that 38.2 extension is. But again, I'm not so infatuated with selling Euro USD, as it's already at a low, it's at super lows. But at the same time, it's like, if the market is making higher highs and higher lows, then so be it. You know, price never broke above this structure. I was talking about this structure last week, and I was saying, hey, I want this structure to get broken, and price never did end up breaking that. So it's like, okay, well then now I just see equal highs to the upside and then equal lows to the downside. So it's kind of like, either A, this comes and plays out or something. Let me actually see where the point of control is at. Point of control is all the way up here, but the way how the market is looking, it doesn't even want to go up there at this point. So right now I'm just seeing either A, Let me grab this real quick. And then get rid of this line over here real quick. What I'm really seeing is, you know, equal lows down here. It came to this support overall, so I'm going to use it. And then equal highs up here. Now, if I remember correctly, Euro GBP went bonkers last week, so that probably might be due to the influence of the GBPs rather than the Euro, according to the Euro USD. I could be wrong. I don't trade a lot of other Euro pairs, but we'll see what goes on. You know, I want to see what plays out with EU. If it goes bullish from here, then hey, then that means that this play over here from the lows to the highs, that the retracement, hey, from inside this zone, it would play out, and that would be cool, but I'm not going to play it personally. So I'm going to hide the fibs, and we're going to see what happens. I'm not going to play this. I'm just going to wait and see what happens here at this point. It's not one of my favorite pairs to trade at this point, or it's not one of my favorite setups, I should say, at this point. So weekly time frame, very much bearish on arbitrage, very much bearish. So I can't say any much more than that. It's like it's just gonna keep going bearish in my opinion. Daily time frame, price is this the RSI line is still holding at the lower danger zone, but it's pointing to the upside. So that's not really a good sign of trying to get into a buy either. Again, it's good to be patient. 4-hour time frame, I called for a buy on this candlestick. I would not have bought that personally. I would have just been like, it is what it is. This was the buy that I had called last week on the analysis. I said, hey, if you want to take that, it doesn't look too bad. I was more focused on AU. But yeah, right now price is currently just rejecting off of this lower danger zone. So we'll see what happens. Like, we'll really see what goes down with EU. I'm not really, like I said, I'm not a fan of it, you know, because of that gap of the market, because that's what I'm seeing here. Apparently there is this gap of, well, I mean, if you go on to the lower time frames, then the gap kind of got filled because of that wick to the downside. Where did the market open at? Right here. So, I mean, on the 15-minute time frame, it doesn't even look like there's a gap. But nonetheless, this wick right here where price came back down, it would have filled up that little gap. So, it's not. I wouldn't really say there's a gap in the market anymore. And, you know, we'll see what goes down. But there's really no signs of anything that's telling me to buy the market, except for, hey, price bounced off of support. If you want, you could buy off of it, but that's not the type of trades that I'd be taking or calling like that. AUD USD. Isn't it so funny how the other week I was trying to call a sell on AUD USD, it stalked me out, and now it's doing all this. Yeah, that's funny. But anyways, AUD USD. Yeah, this is definitely a pair that is just, it just likes to play games. So weekly time frame, a couple weeks ago we had seen this wick to the upside, and I was like, yeah, this looks like a fake out to the upside, and prices is more than likely gonna push lower, right? And I was saying that, hey, it could be more than likely from that high to this low at that 71% Fibonacci zone. I wasn't necessarily prepared to try to short the market up over here. I was more trying to short the market when it came down here. And then unfortunately, stop loss got hit, which is a stop out, and then price still continues pushing to the downside. And it's funny because I remember when price had made this drop, I remember how much I was talking about, oh, I want to see price come back up to the likes of 0.76250, or in or just in that general area, or was it right here? I think it might have been when price came down here. I wanted price to come up to 0.76650 or something like that. Was it? Wait, let me see how long ago this was. This was in August. Yeah, that sounds more accurate for this to have been in August, and price barely missed it. Yeah, that was the one I was looking for more of. Which, when you just draw out the fibs, it's basically the same area. That's kind of crazy, isn't it? But yeah, AUD USD looks like it's gonna. I mean, yeesh, man, with the way how it's pushing to the downside, it could. I mean, for me personally, I feel like it's more due to the strength of the US dollar rather than the weakness of the Australian dollar. But I mean, at this point, does it really matter? I mean, let's take a look at other Australian pairs, AUD pairs, real quick. I don't trade AUD CAD, but let's just see what that looks like. Okay, AUD CAD is pretty bearish. AUD JPY, let's see what that looks like. Or no, let me not do AUD JPY because the Japanese yen has been on a tear. Let me do AUD NZD, sure. I don't know what that looks like. This is pretty bullish in my eyes. I have not traded this in so long. Wow. Oh, I did not. Let me go ahead and see that. I don't know why it didn't show me that. EJ? Okay, absolutely. I'll go ahead and do EJ. I usually do the request towards the end, but EJ might I actually want to take a look at EJ. Funny enough, it was just something that I wanted to pay attention to. So I'll take a look at that before I do the cryptos. Real quick. So going on over to, oh wait, before I go on over to USHF, let me go on over to AUD USD. Yeah, like I said, it's very bearish. You know, unfortunately, it had unfortunately stopped me out the trade before dropping the way I really wanted it to, long term wise. But hey, that's part of the game. 4-hour time frame. You know, at this point in time, I don't really have any desires to try to buy up any of the USD pairs right now. I would rather just be patient and wait on them. So, I mean, overall, I mean, on a daily, this is probably an area where you might start to look for some buy opportunities for AUD USD just from this low to this high. But the way how price dropped like this in the past couple of days, and then it left a large wick and where it rejected from, yeah, like I said, this possibly just looks like it's just going to keep pushing to the downside. So we're going to see what goes on with AUD USD on a longer term rather than try to play anything right now. If I go on over to arbitrage, I'm pretty sure that the daily time frame might be starting to shift. Let me go on over to the weekly real quick. Let me get rid of all of these drawings. Okay. So right now, weekly time frame, after prices came up to the upper danger zone like this and left a wick like that, I don't have any interest in trying to buy it. And it's been just bearish candles ever since. Like the blue candles represent like bearish candlesticks. I'm not really interested. And prices underneath the RSI line, again, I'm not really that interested in trying to buy it. This looks more like it's gonna push to the downside some more. Daily time frame already called for the sell. You know, price had broken down or made a retracement to the upside. You know, if I wouldn't have gone in at this candlestick right here, I probably would not have gone in at this one either. And same thing applies with these. I'm not gonna necessarily. You can get into the sells. The sells look pretty promising because of how the weekly time frame looks like. But personally, I wouldn't sell at what price is currently at. Same thing over here. These are all just bearish at this point. So again, it's just funny how I ended up getting stopped out for a play that I was looking for months back, and then price ends up doing what I wanted it to do. All right, let's go on over to UChef. You know, UChef has made, just keep on making higher highs at this point. Had bounced off of this trend line and made that bullish move to the upside. This was the play on it, although I didn't necessarily care for it that much, and I didn't even play it. But it was pretty clean. Bounce up, act like it was a fake out on the weekly time frame, then make a retracement, reject off of the trend line, and then close at the 78.6 Fibonacci. Then it's all she wrote going to the upside. So that was a pretty clean move, no lie. So now at this point, what I would really have to see on UChef, which I mean, based off of how the weekly looks like, I don't think it's gonna happen. It just broke above this zone that it's been struggling to break for how long now? So that's something that we got to pay attention to. And I don't necessarily want to try to buy it because, you know, from this high at 0.99 basically to these lows, look where prices came. Hold on. Look where prices came and lined up to, right off of that 71% Fibonacci level. Now, again, I do not like how the price action looks on this, nor do I even like how the price action on the US dollar or the DXY looks like, right? So it's kind of like, hey, what's really going to go down? Like I was saying that, hey, maybe we're going to see a rejection right here at this zone, but we never did get it. So the likelihood of price still going bullish from here does exist. Like, price is really bullish. I mean, at this point, even if price started to retrace, I would have to respect this bullish move and say that, okay, it's going to come over here to the likes of 0.93084 and then continue going bullish, like something like this, you know? Like, what happens if price came up, came down, came up a little bit more, came down some more, bounced off that trend line, and then push to the upside? Like, that's such a likelihood for UChef at this point. And it would also match up with the bearish play off of the 71% Fibonacci. But again, the way how the US dollar looks, I'm not so confident in trying to sell against the US dollar right now. Not until I see some better signs on the lower time frame. So 4 hour time frame. Again, the play would probably be, if I'm looking for the buys, I already showed it, but let me just go ahead and do it on the lower time frame. Where in here would be where I'd be looking at for a potential buy opportunity if price did come back into that. But again, the way how the weekly does look, not really too crazy over that idea at this point. So we'll see what goes down. Going on over to arbitrage, 1 hour time frame. Well, I didn't even look at the 1 hour time frame, but this is something that, you know, is just, it goes to show is like, you know, on the weekly, I was saying that, hey, price is just bouncing up and down off of this. You know, I did like seeing this weekly candle to the upside, and then price pushed down, but then, I mean, price never really called for a sell or never really. I mean, it did close. Let me not act like there hasn't been a couple of weeks where price closed underneath this RSI line, but it's just a lesson when it comes to the weekly time frame that if you're not really sure of what's going on, then just mark off the areas where it's like, hey, it's been bouncing off of the mean line right here. It's been bouncing off of the RSI line right here. It's been bouncing off of the upper danger zone right here. It's just been playing in this area. Either A is going to be a breakout to the upside or a breakout to the downside type of play. You know, so it's kind of hard to gauge it off of the weekly. The daily was pretty interesting to see as well, because price did call for a buy and then it continued going bullish pretty nicely, in my opinion at least. 4 hour would have been tricky to play off of as well, because it called for a sell and then it called for a buy right here. and I wouldn't have played that sell. So it's just, it would have been tricky to play U-Chef for me on arbitrage personally. So let's go on over to Goldilocks. This is another one. All right, so gold, man. Gold is breaking through this trend line. Let's go over to the weekly first, actually. First and foremost. So weekly time frame, bearish gold candle. Awesome. That's pretty good to see. Noting that, you know, I don't like necessarily trading when price is bullish. It's a good sign for the bears. And then price is broken through this, I would say, 4-hour trend line. Yeah, price is broken through this 4-hour trend line to the downside. Retested it, pushed the downside a little bit. That's good, but I'm not necessarily still convinced that price is going to fall, and that's only because this is, you know, from, if I'm just taking a look at right here, go ahead and drop some sauce. Price over here was at a high. And over here was the previous higher low, right? Higher low. And then, okay, let me just make here a higher high. Once that happened, price then came and made a higher low right here. But then never made a higher high. It just came up and pushed over here. And then price broke through both higher lows. I mean, let me just push this down over here. Price broke through both higher lows to then make a lower high. Or I would just say, actually over here, I would say a lower low. Right? So price made a lower low. And then over here is a lower high. Price came back down here and made it equal lows because it came back down to the same zone and it just left the wicks to the downside basically, but it came back down over here and then pushed up, breaking this previous lower high. So this structure right here is a structure that's been broken both to the upside and to the downside in this particular, I mean, it's not in a range yet because price hasn't came back up to these all-time highs, but the fact that this structure got broken again is making me think, okay, hey, is this going to be a bullish gold that we're seeing here? And if it is going to be a bullish gold, then what I'm really looking at is from this low of 1890 to the high, 1890.5 to the high of 1998. Like, this is an area that price is coming back into that could be potentially bullish. Right? Not, I don't want to just say that, hey, you know, the trend line got broken on that, so that's going to be a reason why I'm going to be looking for sells. Like, I mean, short term wise, no lie, if price were to like turn around right now, I'd probably look for sell opportunities off of this bearish move on the 1 hour, no lie. But right now, I'm kind of like, hey, right now price is in the zone where it could just literally bounce off of it then go bullish, right? So kind of want to have my alert set for 1922, and then we'll see what really plays out with gold. Where's the alert? Let me change the color. So that's something that I'm going to be watching for. When price gets down there, that's when I can make a decision on, okay, am I going to trade this? If I am going to trade it, if I'm going to play half a risk or if I'm going to put full risk, I'm more than likely going to take the trade and put half risk on it just based off of how it fell. But let me go and take a look at what arbitrage is talking about. So, okay, I'm already glad that I'm seeing this because off top, the daily time frame is telling me no, it's actually called for a sell right here. And price did come back down below. So, it's... when I see that, but I'm seeing the level pro and arbitrage Z are still They're still above ground zero. It doesn't make me want to necessarily buy it, but I'm very cautious now because I'm seeing magenta candles and price could just continue going bearish, right? Going over to the 4-hour time frame, I was talking about this the other day, and I was like, dang, this was a possible play where price had broken through, and if it would have retraced, then a continuation to the downside, that's what I would play. But it never did give me that retracement, so it was all right. But other than that, gold is just really bearish right now. The weekly time frame is very bullish, but that weekly is, I mean, the daily is what's really catching my eye right now. So we're gonna have to really be careful and see what this gold play is gonna do. But yeah, over here, I feel like if I do play off the buy off of 1922, my stop loss would be like 1890 basically, then I would probably put half of my what I would usually risk. So if I usually risk 1%, I'm probably going to put half of that on there. Going over to the Dow Jones. Or wait, hold on. I don't know why the S&P isn't on here, but let's go into the Dow Jones. Then I'll go look at Nasdaq, S&P. After a drop like this, it's very difficult for me to want to try and say that this is going to keep falling to the downside. And more times than not, if Wall Street is going to the downside, then the US dollar is going to be going up in value, which, I mean, we see this going up in value and we see this going down. You know, we have the Nasdaq, the freaking tech stocks going down. We have the likes of Google. We have Netflix going down. We have Facebook a couple of weeks ago dropping 30%. We have Elon Musk trying to buy. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on in tech when it comes to those companies wise, and it's just very interesting to see how the markets are finally reacting after going on such, like if we're going to the weekly time frame, like we see how price from, let's just see how fast price, like from this low, from when COVID happened to the highs, how fast, hold on, there we go. Let's see how fast price got to those highs. So from here to these all-time highs, it took 658 days for price to do a 102% gain on the S&P, on the Dow Jones, right? I want to say that this might be the same thing, but we'll see right now. It doesn't look like it's the same thing, but we'll see right now. Oops. Okay, not even close. Never mind. That's 38%. And that's between 413 days. Okay, let's look at this. It didn't even take, like, so this is between February 16th and February 2018. That's 73%, and that's 735 days. So you guys getting the gist of what I'm about to say? Well, I don't know if you guys are or not, but the gist of what I'm about to say is like from look from the 22nd of August 2011 to July 15th, 74% increase in 1,407 days. Now, what I did was just from a low to a high before price started to retrace heavily, heavily. Look how long it took. 1,407 days. Up over here, 735 days, you know. Up over here, we have 413 days. This is 38%, so this is the lowest amount before it started to make a huge retracement. But these are 73% in a matter of long days, whereas, and it never even did 100%. Whereas over here, from the low to the high, it even take a full 2 years, and it did 100% increase. So when stuff like that happens, it's like, is there? Oops. hold on. Is there going to be a huge correction like how when price fell in the beginning of COVID? Is there going to be something that has to be COVID related, or does it have to be something on the scale of COVID in order for price to drop or make a correction like that? And we're just going to have to see if that's what is going to be taking place in the next couple of months. I mean, this weekly candle is just very scary to me, and I feel like this is just going to end up breaking this zone in a matter of weeks and then continue pushing to the downside, which is not going to be a good look for a lot of companies, or not even a lot of companies, but just for Wall Street in general. It's not going to be a good look if price does end up breaking through this, because then it's just going to end up coming to this next level, this next zone under 29,000. And I feel like for some reason, if it does reach here, it's going to drop lower, and it's just based off of how like this happened. Like it came to key zones, stopped for a little bit, then dropped some more, stopped for a little bit, then dropped some more, type of thing. So we're gonna see. I'm not really that crazy over the buys, but if the buys do occur, it's gonna happen around at this level, long term wise. I really don't care for the fact that both the weekly and the daily time frame, the 50 EMA, that's what this green line is. I'm not really so crazy over the fact that price is below both of those. So yeah, like I said, if price is gonna end up getting bullish on the Dow Jones, it's gonna happen at 33,100, and that's because from, is it these lows? I think it's from those lows to these highs. No, it's right here, actually. From those lows to the lows to those highs, you know, that's a sweet spot of that fib zone. But again, it's all gonna, or not even again, but it's all gonna depend on how price gets down here. If I'm gonna be willing to buy it, if the price, I'm gonna be willing to look for a price to go bullish again. So we're just gonna have to really see what goes on with the Dow Jones in the next couple of days. Let's go over to arbitrage real quick. Weekly time frame still been bearish, and it's been rejecting off of that RSI line and the upper danger zone on that weekly. That's all I really see from this at this point. I just really see price just tumbling down slowly, or not even slowly, but just price tumbling down at this point. Daily time frame price is right at that upper danger zone with that bearish, huge bearish engulfing candle. I just see price pushing to the downside at this point. 4-hour time frame called for a sell. I would not sell this at all. I would not sell off of that signal, but you know, at this point, if something like if the US 30 did something like this, I'm way more inclined to sell than to buy at this point. I'm way more down to sell if price came up here to fall, rather than if I were to buy if price came down to 33,100. That's how I feel about this right now. So yeah, and 1 hour of course is going to be bearish. So yeah, that's my take on US 30, and if that's how I feel about this, more than likely it's going to be the same thing for the rest of these guys. So going on over here, let me see something real quick. Just this that I did. Price went up a little bit higher, then ended up pushing to the downside. That's funny. All right, so okay, so daily time frame wise, very scary. 2 days closing the week on on the Nasdaq. You know, it looks like price wants to continue going bearish. From these highs to these lows, that retracement, price barely, hold on, yeah, price barely didn't even, I mean, it kind of looks like it did hit that 61.8 and then push to the downside. And again, at this point, what this looks like to me is that price is just going to keep pushing to the downside. You know, if I go into the weekly time frame, same thing. Like that weekly time frame is very scary. It looks like his price is just gonna keep pushing to the downside. You know, and like I was saying, a lot of tech stocks, they're definitely on the downside of things. Prices back at the zone again. So it's got to be careful with the Nasdaq, you know. 50 EMA prices underneath of it. That's not a good sign for the bulls. You know, even if I draw a fib from this low to this high, price is gonna be below it, and even the way how price came down into it is kind of like, okay, nah, I don't really necessarily think I want to try to buy it. So gonna have to see what happens. Let me see what the 4-hour looks like. Usually I would say that, hey, I want to see this get broken for me to play a 4-hour play. This would probably be a 1-hour play that I would look for. If this got broken, I would buy it. But it's just the same thing like with US 30. I'm more inclined to try to sell it if price came back up over here at 1400 rather than for me to try to buy anything, you know. And that's just off of the 4-hour time frame. Smaller time frames, it's a different story, but this is what I'm feeling more, quite honestly. Let's go over to arbitrage real quick. I'm pretty sure it's very similar to what US 30 looks like. Oh yeah, this is even. Yeah, it's definitely gonna keep pushing to the downside if the way how this looks. Called for the sell, retraced even back up to the RSI line after it did it once. Dang, this gave me opportunity twice and I missed, and I didn't even pay attention to it. But it's alright. I don't usually trade the Nasdaq like that, and you know, as much as I would love to go and take a, I mean, you know what, I'm gonna take a look at S&P real quick. Same thing basically, guys, you know. Oh, I need to delete stuff. Same thing. Super bearish. I'm not interested in trying to buy at this point in time, even though if I draw a fib from the low of this bullish move to the high, price is right there, looking good at a swing buy position. I'm okay. I'm the way how the weekly and the daily looks like, I'm genuinely okay with missing this move. You know, weekly time frame, same thing on arbitrage. Came up, rejected off of the upper danger zone and the RSI line. Although price had closed above the RSI line once, it ended up pushing to the downside. I'm good. I'd rather not try to trade that. So let's go on over to Euro JPY. Oops. Let me make sure I don't see any other notes or anything. Nope. Okay, we're good. Awesome. So looking over here at the DXY, Euro JPY. Oh, what am I doing? Why did it? Oh, it's because I thought it looked like the DXY. Euro JPY is just extremely bullish. I don't even know when's the last time I did a markup on it was. Let me see. That was all the way over here back in January. Dang. Alright, so anyways, weekly time frame wise, this looks extremely bullish to me. Extremely bullish to me. I mean, it's been bullish since back in like May 2020. Bullish, but now like it's just like all the JPY pairs are just really bullish right now, and it's just so interesting to me, right? One thing that I do want to note is that where price is currently at, you know, it is currently at this structure, and it did reject off of it. Although it did go up slightly higher, it did reject off of this zone that's right here. It's a weekly zone. And I mean, funny enough, if you, I mean, it's on a weekly time frame, so I still like to point these things out. But I mean, from this absolute high to this low, we can see where prices like really lining up towards. But again, its price is so bullish on the weekly time frame that is not really the safest place to try to look for any type of sell opportunities until you see something otherwise, right? So going on over to the daily, I like seeing these two wicks to the upside like that, but price is still consolidating at that area, right? And at this point, from this bullish move, I would really have to say that if I see a retracement, I'm only going to want to go and get a buy right there, right? 4 hour time frame. Yeah, we're seeing some consolidation right here. Bullish engulfing candle, broke these highs. I mean, yeah, broke those highs right there. Then price started to push to the downside. Found support right here. I mean, personally, like from the 4 hour time frame, like to the 4 hour, 1 hour time frame, from this low to this high, I'm kind of looking for buying opportunities over here in between 136.800 and 136.450, like 471. If I can see price getting down, if price can get down there pretty nicely and not super fast, I'm probably going to be looking for buy opportunities there. Just because, I mean, price again is just price has just been so bullish, so you want to roll with the trend, right? But if price like drops there super fast, then it's kind of like, okay, I want to be patient real quick. I don't want to try to get in anything, you know. And oh no, go ahead, absolutely, go ahead. Oh well, if it's still in the if there's, yeah, then that's more than fine, because you know, if looking at it even going closer into it, you know, we might have been getting like a small retracement, but you know, from this taking it from this previous, like where the sell off actually took off, you know, from this high to this low, we've seen that rejection right at that 71% area. But now this is my thing though. It's came up twice to this 71%. So that's why I'm kind of like, okay, well now, like, it's the probability of it pushing to the downside, it's less than when if I would have tried to take a sell right here, you know. But still, you know, hey, the possibility for price to go bearish is still there, but it's based off of how I see this price coming up and making a double top. We could possibly just see price even climb up over here a little more to like 139.650 before pushing to the downside, or price can just keep going bullish. But you know, I like 139.650 because then that would make it, number one, a head and shoulders type of play, you know. And then number two, it would be, okay, well, from this high to these lows, that retracement, what is going to fall right into that right shoulder and then push to the downside, you know. So we're gonna really see what goes on with EJ. I'm actually gonna pay attention to it this week. But I would definitely, if the sell is active right now, then I would rather prefer it drop right now, for sure. Let's go on over to arbitrage real quick and see what that's going on. What's going on with that weekly time frame? Yeah, extremely bullish on the weekly. You guys might just be on like on a pullback sell. You know, 4 hour time frame. Setting up for a potential sell, but not quite there yet. 1 hour time frame. Okay, you got the sell in the 1 hour. That's good, but price is like right at that mean line and and that RSI line. If you're in a sell, I would say hold it. See what happens. I would say hold it for sure. I wouldn't jump the gun. But then if price came above like 139.490, that's when I would start to say, if you're not at break even already, but that's when I would start to say, okay, maybe I want to get out the trade for now. And then wait for like 139. Actually, because right after that, that's where that right shoulder is going to be at, and then 139.650 would be or 139.600 would be a sniper for a potential sell for EJ. But yeah, right now EJ's at an interesting spot, especially since the JPYs have just been so bullish. All right, so let's take a look at these cryptos, man. Bitcoin is interesting. And no problem. I'll be talking about it in the chat throughout the week. But Bitcoin is definitely at an interesting level right now. So, you know what? I'm going to actually hide this. Going over to the 4-hour time frame and say that, hey, you know, this is a play that I had called for a buy off of it. You know, price had bounced off the 78.6, came to the 61.8, came back down, broke me up, break even, then pushed back up, went 1-to-1 actually from the 78.6, so that's pretty solid on that end. But it only came up to 43,000. Wait, actually Bitcoin came up to 42,978, very close to 43,000, and then ended up pushing to the downside pretty hardcore. Now, there's two things that I don't care for seeing that price push to the downside like that, and it just makes me feel like at this point we might be approaching the bear market. But I'm still optimistic for a potential push to 56K, no matter what. But until I see certain levels and I'll talk about them right now. Until I see those levels get broken, then that's when I'm gonna be like, hey, I'm still bullish on it. But first thing that I saw when price pushed down, well, first of all, divergence play that Payne talked about, that thing was cash money, like eesh. But from this high to these lows, you know, price coming up and hitting that 78.6 level right there. Again, it's not something that I like to see. That's the number one thing that I do not really like to see, because I mean, this is from lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. Then I mean we could consider that lower high, but then price didn't really break through these zones. And again, remember how I was saying that, you know, there's still these levels that price is rejecting off of that is making me not really like the bullish moves too much. But nonetheless, because they're swings, and this is the area I was talking about. Remember how I was saying that, hey, price rejecting over here 3 times and pushing that hard. I didn't necessarily like that the way how that fell, but the potential still existed for price to go up. And off of the 78.6, 1-to-1 has been hit. So once that usually happens and price comes back down, I'm like, okay, the trade doesn't have any obligation for me anymore. At this point, if the price goes bullish, then it goes bullish. But based off of the price action of all this, me looking at the weekly time frame that I'm about to look at, because I do believe that it just closed. Oh yeah, it definitely just closed. Me seeing that rejection off of the 50 EMA, that is not a good sign. Now, I am not going to act as if though. Let me get rid of all this stuff over here. I'm not going to act as if we haven't seen these type of candlesticks before on Bitcoin when I'm talking about 1, 2, 3 different levels, you know, I'm not saying that hasn't happened before, but then when we're seeing bearish candles like this, and then we see an attempt for price to come and break above this 50 EMA, and then it just rejects off of it just like that, is not a good sign to me. It's not that great of a sign to me, and I'm just like, what's gonna happen? You know, overall, the possibility, yes, it does still exist for a bullish move off of this, but again, same thing, off of this weekly play. From this low to the high, prices hit 1-to-1 multiple times from the 78.6 Fibonacci zone. You know what I'm saying? Even when we go on over to the lower time frames. Let me go into the daily real quick. Even when we go into the lower time frames from this low, sorry, had to grab that, but from that low to the high of 48, no, actually that is incorrect. It's from these lows to these highs, you know, prices came down, rejected off of the 78.6 nicely, went bullish, and from this low to this high, there's been bullish plays. There's been multiple bullish plays that have been played off of Bitcoin, right? Same thing right here, 78.6 price has gone up to the 71%. But the way how the higher time frames, like the daily has been showing opportunities, but the way how the weekly looks and the way how the monthly looks, even, let's go take a look at how the monthly looks like. The monthly is gonna scare me probably. Not scaring me super much, but I don't like seeing a monthly candle like this, like a thick bearish candle like this. I don't like seeing that on a monthly candlestick for us. So, and again, just from the looks of this looks like it's gonna keep pushing to the downside. So right now, just got to see what Bitcoin is gonna do. I'm not necessarily gonna try to call any type of buy plays right now. I wouldn't want to put that risk on us quite yet. You know, we could still see a potential move back down to 37,000, or between 38,000 and 37,000. So that's what I'm really going to be watching out for. But yeah, I'm not necessarily feeling the sells right now. Let's go on over to what arbitrage is talking about. I'm pretty sure the weekly is going to scare me too. Yeah. It's unfortunate, man. That weekly's calling for sells. The daily's calling for sells. The 4-hour time frame calling for sells as well. So it's like, nah, I'm good. I'm genuinely gonna have to leave Bitcoin alone. I've been wanting to call buys on it, but I just been like, you know what? It doesn't look good. Leave it alone. This weekly it just looks like the US indices to me, and the indices, they look like they're gonna fall as well. So Ethereum is probably looking very similar to Bitcoin. A possible play that I was like, hey, you know, if this happens, depending on how price comes down, maybe you might want to play. But it's the same thing, right? It hit the 78.6, did a 1-to-1, but now it looks like it's going to keep pushing to the downside, right? So yeah, like it is keep pushing to the downside. So this 78.6 fib right here, you know, it did the same thing from this 78.6. It came up to the 1-to-1. There have been some buying opportunities, genuinely. It's just the bears look like they're about to come into play. We don't know that yet, though. There is this zone. There is this huge zone here still. And actually, I feel like I'm gonna be a broken record, but I'm just gonna talk about these highs, these big levels again. So it's like, hey, from that low to this high, prices came over to the 78.6. It's done more than a 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio. It's probably done a 71% 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio as well. But overall, from the absolute high of Bitcoin of Ethereum, let me go on the monthly real quick, to the lows of 75.62, price still can really, and I'm saying the lows of 75.62. Well, actually, here, let me do this even better. Of 80, the low was 88.20, but 86.74 is fine. We still have the potential of price coming down to 1,100. And guys, if price, please do, if price comes down to the likes of even 2,000, again, buy some Ethereum. If price goes down to 1,500, buy some Ethereum. If price goes down to 1,100, buy some Ethereum. If price comes down to $500 or $480 or $450, buy some Ethereum. We've seen it before. We've seen it happen again. And if prices do push down to the downside again, these are the opportunities, these are the times where you can really become crypto rich. Because if price does come back down to 1,100, 7,800 is not such a far-fetched idea. If you go and do the same thing to right over here to the left, I'm just going to take it from the lows of, hold on, let me get surgical with it and get a little closer so I could definitely show some respect to Ethereum, right? So let's just go ahead and put it at where when Ethereum just started, right? And then all the cryptos did their bullish move in 2017, 2000, and towards the ending of 2018, right? If we look at the retracement came to $82 before even going way more above than the 61.8 extension. History repeats itself, and the more that crypto gets recognized, the more that it gets shown to the mainstream media. Although I don't feel like now is the time, in my personal opinion, there still is a lot of money that can be made in crypto. But again, the bearish move, it looks very likely. The bearish move, it looks a lot like a possibility at this point. But we're just gonna have to be patient and see. Shorter time frame bullish move possibility. From this low to this high, price could come over here to 2,677 and then take off. But we'll see what happens. Same thing with Bitcoin, right? Like I said, I know I sound like a broken record, and I've said this multiple times, but it needs to be talked about. It needs to be talked about frequently so that we can be remembering, if prices do end up dropping, not to panic, and we have a goal in place. Same thing. So like from the lows of 3,905 to the high of 68,500. That sounds so crazy to say, and that's only happened in like the span of 2 years. Crazy. But yeah, or not even 2 years. But yeah, price can still definitely come down to these lower levels of 20,000, 17,000, and still potentially turn around, and then the next bullish move, what happens if 108,000 goes and gets hit? You know what I'm saying? It's, again, I can go and do the same thing that I just did on Ethereum to this previous bullish move right here before price took off and made these highs, so again, even if prices do fall down, don't be alarmed anywhere. And so, like, I don't know why that's over there, but anywhere inside this zone. I mean, I usually say that, hey, for me personally, any price below 40,000 is a decent price to buy Bitcoin at. So even if you want to buy some Bitcoin right now, I wouldn't say you're at fault, because all you would need is for price to double in price to $80,000 to make double your investment. But however, the likelihood of that happening right now is not that great. I would hold off on any type of crypto buying. Well, not no no. Let me not say that. Let me not say that, because that is a false statement. I would say hold off on any Bitcoin buying right now, I should say. When it comes to holding it like in a wallet, I would say that, hey, if you have it already, just hodl. Just hodl. You know, there's no point in trying to like take out any Bitcoin. You know, even dollar cost averaging every like 2 weeks or a month into Bitcoin isn't a bad idea, as long as it stays under 40,000. That is, any price over 40,000, I can't. I for me personally, is not justifiable. But yeah, these prices right here, screenshot them, because we might be seeing them sooner than later. As much as I would love 56K, as much as, you know, that's what I've posted on social media and that's what I've made publicly known, other than on YouTube or on my analysis, that like that's the price that I really want to see. These down here look a lot more realistic right now. And actually, let's actually go on to the fear and greed index. I have not taken a look at this in a while. Actually, it's been at least a month since I checked this out. So let's go ahead, fear and greed index. Actually, I am going to the wrong place. I'm sorry. It's funny. There's there's fear in the market, even in the in the in the stock market and stuff. That's funny. Not surprising, but now let's go look at the crypto fear and greed index. So right now there's extreme fear in the market, a 23. Last week it was 24, and last month at this time it was in the middle at 50. So that's something that you definitely want to pay attention to as well. But just know, when there's extreme fear in the market, that is usually the time where investors are looking to buy. But again, just based off of the price action, I don't know about all that, Chief. Not this time. It's just the price action that we've been seeing for the past couple of weeks have not just, it's just not even the past couple of weeks, the past couple of months. And I don't know why GU decided to freeze on me. Oh, cancel. Cancel. There you go. And of course it does it anyways. Alright, so let's go ahead and go on over to GU. 39,000, huh? Well, like I said, buying anywhere under 40,000, it's semi-decent, if you will, because you would just need the price to double in order, which is feasible from what we've seen Bitcoin do, but I wouldn't buy it right now. GBP USD, it is bearish and is continuing to be bearish. I am actually very surprised about GU falling like this. I mean, at this pace, because it's just, it was so bullish at one point in time. I'm like, is this gonna really push to the downside? And we're finally getting that move, right? Let me get rid of that RB real quick and focus on this. So right now we have this bearish GU pushing to the downside pretty hard after it's made this bullish move for the past couple of months to 1 to 2 years, and price is currently at this resistance. I mean, at this support. I'm pretty sure that support is probably going to be the 50% Fibonacci level. Nah, a little lower would be like right here, 1.26683 would be the 50%. And overall on this huge weekly scale, we would still need to see 1.24869 or 1.22254 before we see any type of bullish moves. But as of right now, trying to catch a falling knife would not be a wise decision. So I would just personally leave GPUSD alone and see what it's going to do at this zone. But again, we have these zones right here marked off. And on arbitrage, I'm pretty sure everything is bearish. A weekly time frame has been bearish since August of 2021. Daily time frame, I was saying, hey, until I see a breakout retest continuation, I don't see a buy happening on GU, and that is still very much the case. 4-hour time frame called for a sell right here. I would not have bought it, or I would not have tried it. I would not have gone in this sell right here. And 1-hour time frame, yeah, it's just GU was not on my watch list. I was not paying attention to GU, and the markets just don't look good to me. You know, this is going to be another week where I don't trade that much on the market except for scalping opportunities. GJ, again, with the JPY pairs, they've just been so bullish, but because of the influence of the GBPs, I feel like that's the reason why GJ ended up pushing to the downside like how it just did. But other than that, the weekly time frame left a long way to the upside. That doesn't really mean much to me, because overall GJ is still very much bullish. Very much bullish. So don't really have much to say about that, other than I see on the daily time frame a bearish engulfing candle that still didn't end up breaking structure that I would have wanted it to break for me to look for selling opportunities. The structure that I would have wanted price to break through is this, and it never did. So if it can break that, then I'd be like, okay, I'd wait for a retracement and then a continuation to the downside. But that's about it, you know. Like, that's all I really see on GJ. Arbitrage, I'm pretty sure the 4 hours probably trying to set up for a sell opportunity. Yeah, so off of this, I would have to see like a retracement back up to the bands or to the RSI line or the upper danger zone, and then a continuation to the downside. So yeah, other than that, GJ is pretty much bullish on the other time frames. Very bullish on the other time frames. And last but not least, let's go over Euro GBP. If anybody has any other pairs they want me to look at, go ahead and drop them, whether it's on YouTube or if it's on Zoom over here. So yeah, EG Payton did a wonderful call last week with this EG play. You know, I had mentioned it a couple weeks before as well, but he's the one that's been really looking at EG, and I've just been following his lead. So we're gonna see what goes on. You know, we're gonna see if price is really gonna hold at this 23.6 fib, or if it's gonna continue going bullish. In my eyes, especially the way how the other GBPs have been looking, because this is mostly the influence of the GBPs, I feel like, rather than the euro. But based off of the way how this has gone bullish, it looks like it might continue. I am going to be paying attention though to see how price is going to react right here. Gonna see how it looks right here. But I mean, this looks like a freaking stop out to the downside, push up, retracement, continuation, broke above highs, came back down again for like just overall big move, and then it's just this is one of those plays where it's like, damn, EG, so you really finally deciding to do what I want you to do. So Still want price to break above this blue zone before I really feel good about buying EG personally. But the weekly time frame, hey, the weekly time frame might actually finally get broken out of on EG, and if that happens, that's when we can start really looking for buys for sure. So daily time frame is still not there yet. 4-hour time frame has been called for a buy all the way from down here. Dang, this would actually been a good buy opportunity. And then the 1-hour time frame, same thing, has been called for buys. So that is my analysis, guys. Sorry, no trades or anything like that. The market just doesn't look like it would be doing me any favors if I enter the market at this point in time. But we'll see what goes on throughout the day. You know, we might see some, or not that throughout the day, throughout the week we might see some good opportunities. With that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and cut it over here. Thanks y'all for hopping on, and let's see what happens for the rest of the week. Like I said, later y'all.